everybody, this is Mark Tiberius Lemke, Chicago Blackhawks fan. This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, and you can help support the Batman Universe by heading to patreon.com/thebatmanuniverse. Now, Tim, now that that's over with, I have to ask you, what did you think about Game of Thrones Season 7?
Well, how many hours do we have for this podcast? But before I answer that, though, I should say, hopefully those who are listening to this episode notice a change in quality of my voice.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I finally got a new headset and mic to record podcasts with. Yesterday, I had to say goodbye to my faithful generic PS3 headset that I got back in 2011 to use for DC Universe Online when that first came out. But as with most MMO games, I fell behind and didn't play it too long after. So
really, you played that?
Very shortly, for like a few months.
So in that game, you can play as Batman, or
no? You create your own character, but you choose a mentor to kind of base your abilities on. Like, you could choose Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. I, of course, chose Batman as my mentor, but Batman's throughout, you can talk to Batman and it gives you missions, so that was cool. But MMOs, it's always the same old story. I get into it, but then the people I play with play a lot longer than I do, and they get way leveled up. They're way ahead than I am, and I just kind of give up. Or like, okay, you guys are way far advanced. I can't really play with you in the missions you're going to do. And, and MMOs, they keep going on and on and on. It's really...
Yeah.
They almost have no end that comes in. I like games, that have a definitive ending that you could, just move on to the next one. So
yeah, I mean that's usually the problem with most games nowadays. I'd say for me, I just can't commit, however many hours to it. I can't
exactly
come home from work every day and sit on my PS4 or my computer for, I don't know, 5 hours after that, right? I mean,
I know. I don't like playing for too long. I mean, 2 hours. If I'm really into a game, 3 or 4 hours would be about like 5 or 8 hours in one sitting. Like, I can never do that.
Yeah.
But so with that, I had to use that headset for something. And then when we first started podcasting, Dane, like, when you told me what I need, you just need a Skype headset, mic, and all that. I go, I got one sitting in my closet right now that I'm not using. And it's been with me ever since. Every single podcast I've recorded has been on that PS3 mic. I think the brand name was Rocketfish.
Rocketfish.
Yeah, it's not the most, I don't think, recognizable brand name out there, but
are they still around?
It served me well.
I mean, do they still make headsets? Or?
I don't think so, because when I was shopping for this new one, I didn't see any Rocketfish brands out there. But yeah, so I went with Turtle Beach. It's one of those headsets that it's technically designed for a PS4, but you can use it on anything with the USB port that I have. So, so far so good. I can hear you a lot better, Dane. Now it's headphones that covers both ears, not just one like the other one. But if it lasts as long as my generic PS3 headset did, which was about 6 years, I'll be more than happy with it. So I think I should have a little moment of silence for my Rocketfish generic PS3 headset.
Yeah, I mean, that thing is, I don't know how it lasted 6 years, Tim. I mean, if it starts off as a generic headset, yeah, I mean, I'm surprised you made it last that long.
I know. I made it last as long as I could. The earpiece of it, like the foam that was on it, was all falling apart.
Yeah.
And when I'd be done recording a podcast, there'd be black stuff on my ear. Like, what's this? Oh, it's from my headset. Foam piece of it. Like, then the volume would act up where I have to fiddle with the cable or the volume just to... And I kind of have to have my finger on it for a whole recording session just so I can hear you and whoever I'm recording with on the other end. So I was like, I just better go ahead and get a new one. I podcast enough where it'll make it worth it. So it'd
be funny if you had all that black stuff all over your face or all over the side of your face and you went out
I know.
to someplace.
Good thing I always go wash my hands as much as I do and check the mirrors. I can notice all that stuff. But, so yes, hopefully better quality sound coming from me in future episodes.
So why did you need a headset for the DC game, DC Universe Online?
Just whoever I play with. I know my brothers had it too, so we could chat and whoever else we play with using the headset.
So that game is like an online game, kind of like kind of like Destiny here.
Yeah, it's strictly an MMO though, kind of like Warcraft or World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 11.
Yeah, like one of those. You gotta like get all your armor and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, not for me, but
yeah, those games. Yeah, I haven't played MMOs since because I just never finish them or were able to. I get into it for a little bit. Like I said, everyone always moves so far ahead of me by the time I'm able to join. I'm so far back. It's not worth it to me. So
yeah. And plus too, I get kind of bored after a while, because I played Destiny, and after a while, it's like the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it's like I can either spend 5 hours trying to do this thing, or I can go outside.
Or do something, or play another video game.
Yeah, play another video game. Yeah, like
they're.
Go ahead, Tim.
I was just gonna say, I know they're very popular. People love them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
My brother's a big fan of them too, but I started about 3 of them and never really got fully into it. With Final Fantasy 11, DC Universe Online, and City of Heroes when that came out.
Oh, I thought they made 3 DC universes. I was like,
they've had a lot of expansions though, so like I said, it's one of those games that seems to never end. They just keep adding stuff to it.
Plus, I think to play that kind of game, I think you have to be one of those people that like to get everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you need a lot of good stuff to advance to those later portions of the games and the hard bosses and all that. So
yeah,
you just got to spend time just to earn armor or money to buy armor or get rare items and all that stuff.
Yeah, I can't really do that. Not now. But anyway.
But yes, back to the main question.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I thought it was a great season despite being so short. I guess that's the biggest downside to it all. And just the way it was kind of weird where there was stuff you expected to happen and it did, but it was still great to see. And at the same time, there was moments where I should have seen something coming, but I was so into the episode, I didn't. And it was still a surprise. And this was my first time watching a full season as it aired because I just got caught up on the whole series last summer. So this was the first time watching it as it was airing on TV, and it was a little weird seeing a new episode. I couldn't go to the next one right away because I was used to doing that so much last year. But yeah, I mean, the stage is set for what should be a pretty big final season. But I like most of the direction they took the characters and where they're at now. And there were a lot of great sequences in the season. Episode 4, The Spoils of War, Daenerys' attack on the Lannister army with her dragon Drogon, that was awesome. And it was like almost, I'm not going to say every episode, but almost like every other episode, there was a pretty big action sequence, which, is not the case for a whole season, but this one probably had the most, which was cool. So yeah, I thought it was really good overall. And the finale episode, that was the one where I will say I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great, but there was something about, I guess I'll throw spoilers out there for those who haven't seen it yet, but the reveal of finally them confirming, which we already know, Jon actually being Rhaegar Targaryen's son, and then finally confirming that, saying his real name is Aegon Targaryen. There was just something about the way that was revealed between Jon and Sam. I mean, not Jon and Sam, Bran and Sam, that didn't have the big impact I was hoping for, where the season 6 finale, where it got revealed that, Jon is the son of Lyanna Stark. And they didn't say it then, but we assumed, Rhaegar was his father. And I just loved how that played out, where we got the flashback sequence with a young Ned Stark with his sister before she died, telling him, the truth about Jon and to keep it a secret, his heritage. And as we get that moment, the music swelling up, we get that close-up shot of the baby. Then the next scene is just cut to Jon Snow, and you just know, that's who he was. I just thought that was directed beautifully, was edited perfectly, the music was perfect. This reveal didn't have that same impact that I think it should have had. I was kind of hoping I was hoping that when the show did tell us, Rhaegar is Jon's father, it would be by Bran actually telling Jon that, and not just, with Sam kind of being the one he's telling that to. And then, of course, Sam served a purpose by telling him, but he's legit. They were married. His previous marriage was annulled and all that. So he is the rightful heir to the throne. But we're kind of have to go through this again in season 8. John still has to find out. So we're kind of have to be told a third time about this, where I thought, they would have done it one more with Bran telling John, and that would be the way they tell the audience. So that was probably my biggest nitpick about it. But I'm excited to where it's going to, end with season 8 and where things are at. Just the only question is, when are we going to see season 8? Because there's talk about maybe being like a 1.5 year wait, almost 2 year wait, because of they're going to start filming in October, I believe, but post-production may take a while. With this one, it's probably as many epic battles as going to be, and the effects needed, so it might be a little while. I'm hoping it's the same as what it was for season 7, if not just a little bit longer, maybe a fall premiere for 2018, which shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, overall, I was really happy with it.
All right, so we tried to text about this, Tim, but it just wasn't coming through. So Lyanna Stark, now spoiler alerts for everybody, I guess. So Lyanna Stark is Sean Bean's sister.
Yes.
Ned Stark, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Lyanna Stark was supposed to marry that fat guy, right?
Yeah, Robert Baratheon.
Robert Baratheon. Sorry, I forgot his name for a second.
Well, your description was accurate. So.
Yeah. But Ned and Robert thought that I forget the guy's name. They thought that John's dad kidnapped Lyanna.
Yeah, Rhaegar Targaryen. Mm-hmm.
But in reality, they got married.
Yeah. And
the annulment to his other wife was... I mean, the marriage to the other wife was annulled, so that he could marry Lyanna.
Correct.
And then she got pregnant, and they had John, and then she died in childbirth.
Yes. And
Dany is John's auntie?
Yeah.
Okay, so who was that brother guy in the first season?
Okay, so yeah, Rhaegar, John's dad, Daenerys, and her brother in season 1, Viserys, they're all siblings. They're they're the children of the Mad King Aerys. So he had three children, and those are Rhaegar, Dany, and Viserys.
Yeah. And so Ned and Robert, they led a rebellion against the king because of Lyanna.
Yeah, so that was the start of the chain of events, because I can give you a little history lesson here.
Okay.
Everything started.
Just go slow.
Okay. Yeah, and hopefully be much better than what I tried to tell you in text. Yeah. So the whole thing started was Rhaegar Targaryen, the prince, held a tournament in Harrenhal. The tournament of Harrenhal is what it's referred to, and he won that tournament.
Is that like a fighting tournament, or like
a jousting tournament?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he won that tournament, and what tradition is, like, the winner of that presents flowers to their beloved or their betrothed, and instead of giving it to his wife, Elia Martell, he went past her and gave it to Lyanna Stark. And that kind of drew tons of suspicion. Okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, right.
Especially with Robert Baratheon.
So he was already married then, too?
Not yet. They were never married. You mean Robert or Lyanna or Rhaegar?
No, Rhaegar and the Martell.
Yeah, they were married already.
They were married already. Yeah. Okay, and so she was supposed to be the she was supposed to be the next queen then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So after that happened, that raised tons of eyebrows and suspicion. But then, like you said, Lyanna went missing, and it was, everyone thought Rhaegar kidnapped her, and that set off Ned Stark's older brother, Brandon Stark, and his father. They went to the Mad King to, demand that Rhaegar be brought to justice and to bring their sister back. But instead, the Mad King killed both of them. He burned Ned Stark's father, and his son died too. And that's what really started the war. After that happened, Robert and Ned and John Aaron, who's like there's pretty much Robert and Ned's second father, so to speak.
Yeah,
They're like, okay, he's not fit to rule. We have to take him down here, and that's what started the rebellion. And once Robert eventually won, he killed Rhaegar in the Battle of the Trident, and thought that was the end of it as far as Rhaegar Targaryen, but they still had to claim the Iron Throne. And I think that's the other thing you were texting me about, like how the Mad King got killed and all that, and how Robert won it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because like I don't understand how, because I thought John's dad was the king.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right. He's still prince.
Yeah, he died before his father died, but not too long. Long before. So king,
all those scenes, it's Ned, the young Ned, going into that tower thing.
Yeah.
And Bran realizes that his father lied about the sword fighting thing. That is what? Him rescuing his sister?
Yeah. So after, Robert killed Rhaegar and got the Iron Throne, because after the events of the Battle of Trident, where Robert killed Rhaegar Targaryen, the Mad King, was pretty much finished. The Tywin Lannister came in, with his army to sack King's Landing. He actually came like as a friend because he was the hand of the king, and the Mad King Aerys let him in. But once he did, Tywin Lannister sacked King's Landing and was taking over. Yeah. And that's when the Mad King thought, okay, just burn the whole city down, burn it. And that's when Jaime Lannister stabbed him in the back and killed him. Hence the Kingslayer.
Yeah, right.
So, and Ned Stark came to King's Landing shortly after that. He was the first one to see Jaime Lannister on the Iron Throne after he killed Aerys. So the whole sequence of the Tower of Joy, where Ned finds his sister, that happens after. That's like the last sequence of Robert's rebellion. Ned left King's Landing and then went to that tower to find his sister. And that's where he got Jon. So hopefully that answers most of your question, is a little bit of a history of what started pretty much the whole story.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't help that like 98% of this happens off screen.
Exactly, yeah.
or before the show even starts. Mm-hmm. So I was just curious about the who is tied to who, and how come there was that flashback scene where Bran goes and sees that his father lied about that whole fight thing.
Mm-hmm.
And who is Jon's dad, because I was confused about who Jon's dad was, because I'm not really familiar with the Daenerys' family, so just confused. And so who's that old Tyrell lady?
Okay, yeah, they're just one of the main kingdoms, part of the Seven Kingdoms, or one of the main families. Right.
They make all the food.
They're House Tyrell. Yeah, they're very wealthy and have a good source of like grain and all that stuff.
So who is that old lady again?
She was pretty much the last living member of the Tyrell family who ruled that area of the Seven Kingdoms. So when she got killed in the third episode of the season, that's pretty much it for that house's line. The Tyrells are pretty much wiped out because she was the grandmother of Loras and Marjorie Tyrell, who got blown up in the season 6 finale by Cersei and the Sept.
Yeah.
And their grandfather. Yeah. Okay,
so what happened to that Tyrell that was supposed to marry Rhaegar?
Okay, you're probably getting the Martell, you mean?
Martell, sorry.
Yeah. Some of the names are a little sound familiar. Yeah, she got killed when Tywin Lannister came into King's Landing and sacked it. The Mountain actually killed her, and because Rhaegar had 2 other kids before he had Jon, and they were killed by the Mountain once Tywin Lannister sacked King's Landing.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. I think I've got it.
Okay. At least content with the basic knowledge.
Yeah, because I mean, all this happens off screen, like I said, and they expect you to know all this, I guess.
Especially, like I said, I'm kind of familiar with it because like I just watched it last year.
Yeah.
So, and plus, I don't know if you ever watched them, but on YouTube they have like one of the special features on all the Blu-rays for each season is called the history and lore, and those are really cool. Like it's pretty much artwork, but you got narration by one of the actors pertaining to a particular history event that ties with what happened in the season, and they tell a lot about Robert's Rebellion, like pretty early on in the season one. So if you're ever looking for a refresher on some of the histories that's happened, those are the best sources. That's where I learned a lot about all this stuff. So those were very helpful.
Yeah, because I mean, at this point, it's really confusing for me.
I mean, it's about 6 years ago since season 1, so
you should see it because I actually read the first book,
and
this was before the show came out, and I was even confused until I actually saw that first season of Game of Thrones.
Sure, yeah, I know it could be daunting. Even when I bought the books last year at Barnes & Noble, the cash register is like, oh, I'm too scared to even attempt to dive into this world. It seems so daunting.
Yeah, well, I mean, isn't every book like 1,000 pages?
Almost.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I think even in the show sometimes they throw a lot of names out at you right away, so it can be a little hard to keep track. But as you keep watching and get familiar with this, then you start putting the pieces together and knowing who's who and who's related to who and all that. You just kind of have to stick with it, I think.
Yeah, it's only going to get more confusing.
I'm sure, but I'm here for you, Dane, now. So
okay. Well, at least you understand it, so you can explain it to me. But anyway, that's our Mark Tiberius Lemke Game of Thrones podcast.
History lesson.
Yeah. But now we can do our Dark Knight Rises minute-by-minute commentary. This is the hour and a half mark, 90 minutes to, or the 90th minute to the 91st minute, Tim.
Hard to believe we made it.
We're making progress. We only got an hour and 15 minutes left to go, so we only have 75 more episodes to do this.
And they're going to go by like that, so...
So yeah, just queue up your VHS tape, your HD DVD, your laser disc, your beta, your projector, and now Tim, don't forget your Blockbuster rental, right, Tim?
How could I forget? That's my main source of watching new movies.
Or your GameStop buy the DVD.
DVD trade-in.
DVD trade-in.
Yeah.
Or your Netflix physical media rental.
As long as you got all those stuff, you're all set.
Yeah,
Join
especially those last three. Just cue it up to the 90th minute, and I'm going to give the countdown. So, Tim, are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, 3, 2, 1, hit play.
We see John Blake's car flipping over.
Yeah.
I always like this shot right here where all the bridges to Gotham just start crumbling into the water right there.
Yeah, I didn't see that the first time I watched the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
This was just like a low quality thing.
And the police are all trapped. But again, not all of them.
Not all of them. Just 98%, 99%.
Yeah.
Are we going to make it to that cool scene? Or did it already happen? Oh, it already happened, right?
Which one are you talking about?
With the guy running.
We got that last one. See, the headset Bane's using right there?
Yeah.
Kind of similar to the one I have right now with my new one, except there's 2 earpieces. But it's about that size.
You know, I've been to a football game, and you wouldn't be able to hear him that clearly.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, probably not, even more so with all the commotion going on,
Yeah,
with people being scared and having guns pointed at them, the explosion happening. Yeah.
But yeah, that's our minute by minute commentary. Um, Making progress, slowly but surely. Um,
We made it to another big sequence, though.
yeah, another big sequence. But why don't you tell I was about to say, why don't you tell Tim about our featured topic for this episode, Tim?
Well, Tim, are you ready? Yes, I am, Tim. Well, I kind of had to do that the 2 episodes ago where I was just by myself.
Yeah. So. You had to talk to yourself.
But yeah, so this episode is going to be, our featured topic for this episode is going to be my review of the Batman and Harley animated movie. This finally came out on Blu-ray about a week or 2 ago. Watched it last weekend, and I know going into it, I've heard a lot of things about it. Some people were absolutely hating it, saying it's the worst thing since Batman and Robin, and then others I know loved it. I know Jordan sent us an email saying he really liked it. Then also on other social media outlets, on Facebook and stuff, I've seen people really enjoy it. So I was going in, I don't know, kind of expecting moments of it to be bad, but other moments of it to be enjoyable. And that's kind of what I came out of it from. There was stuff I enjoyed, but a lot of stuff that, I wish they didn't go there and just kind of rolled my eyes and stuff. The big thing is they just went overboard with the humor a bit for me, especially when they were trying to, make it like a continuation of Batman the Animated Series, which they did a good job at the points where it was serious and it did feel like it, but then it just kind of went, totally in a different direction with the humor. So it just felt really inconsistent to me. So I thought it started off good enough. Like the first 15 minutes of it was really cool. I mean, it felt like, what I was hoping it would be, a new episode of Batman the Animated Series with Batman and Nightwing. Their interaction together started off really cool. And again, the highlight of the movie is Batman and Nightwing being voiced by Kevin Conroy and Lauren Lester. I mean, this is the first time we've heard them work together, and since the new Batman Adventures ended, and it was just great. I mean, Lauren Lester hasn't missed a beat. He still sounds perfect as Dick Grayson in Nightwing, and just hearing the banter that him and Bruce would have was just, it was just great to hear that again. So all that was great. And even the stuff in Harley, too, at the beginning, I thought was done really well. Melissa Rauch, I thought, did good overall as Harley. No one's going to top Arlene Sorkin, as my opinion, but I thought Melissa Rauch was probably the second best I've heard. I think she's a little better than Tara Strong. Now she does it in the Arkham games and some of the other animated stuff. So I thought she voiced the character good. And probably the best part of the movie for me is when her and Nightwing first confronts her about, trying to get her help to take down or to find Poison Ivy. And they had a pretty cool fight sequence there. And, Joker wasn't mentioned a lot, or pretty much at all, except that one little fight sequence where Harley used one of his Joker toxins to infect Robin with a little needle once in their skirmish they had. It was a fun little skirmish, and then seeing Harley get the best of Nightwing by sneakily stabbing him with some Joker toxin was kind of cool. But things kind of start going downhill for me once Harley gets into the Batmobile. That's when the humor for it kind of starts going a little too overboard. Especially a moment where, I hate to say it, I shouldn't even been saying this. There's a fart joke in a Batman animated movie that went on far too long. Like Harley saying she has to use the restroom, but they have no time to stop. And then Harley's, like, okay, if you're not going to stop, and then you just hear this long fart sequence. It's like, then Nightwing's all like holding his nose, like, oh, Batman, I got to stop. And Batman's all, it's not so bad. And then Harley does it again, and then Nightwing's losing it, and then Batman starts to lose, and then they finally pull over. It's just not the kind of humor I expect or even want to have in one of these animated movies. And then there was another sequence in there where it started off, I thought, oh, this is a cool little nod and Easter eggs for diehard Batman the Animated Series fans, because they go to this shady bar that all the people inside are thugs and like side characters we saw in Batman the Animated Series. We got Captain Clown there. He's dancing with the Miranda, the Hardak robot from Heart of Steel. You got Two-Face's twin henchman from the first episode with Two-Face. And then, Joker's thugs from about various episodes of Batman the Animated Series. So I thought that was really cool. But then we got a moment that was very similar to the Harley Quinn sequence in the animated series where she starts singing at the nightclub. that was really cool in that episode. This one, I know what they were going for. They wanted to do something a little different. She sings this like this punk rock song, and the performance of it was okay, but then you get everybody in the bar starting to dance to it, which is fine. They're just side characters, but then you see Nightwing start doing the monkey dance, like getting into it. It's just like, really? I don't think Nightwing would be, losing his composure and be joining the fun and start dancing and doing the monkey. They did something at the beginning where Batman was just tapping his fingers on the desk. That was a good, funny way to acknowledge that. Yeah, it's a fun, upbeat song. You can't help but get into the beat a little bit. But Batman just does it in that casual way, and Nightwing gives him a funny look, and that was funny. But then when you see Nightwing go all in and start doing the monkey, it's like, okay, like I said, a little too overboard. And then after that, there was a sequence. The end sequence of that bar scene was where the group of all those thugs are about to attack Batman, and that would have been a cool fight scene to see. But what they did, again, going with that humor, Batman had this weird facial expression. That was another thing. There's a lot of weird facial expressions in this movie with Batman, and instead of showing the fight, it just fades outside of the bar, and you get the Adam West pow bam, visuals pop on your screen, but they say different things. I don't remember what they say, what they were, trying to be more funny, but it wasn't. So just stuff like that takes me out of it, with the humor. And then it's the movie, like I said, it starts out good, has a slow point. Then there's another good sequence where Batman, Nightwing, and Harley find Poison Ivy and the Floronic Man and the scientist they kidnapped, and the scientist gets killed in the battle. It was a pretty fun battle sequence too. And then their hideout gets destroyed and it's on fire. And as Nightwing and Batman come out of the rubble, they see Harley there trying to, comfort the scientist who is about to die. I thought it was a good moment and a nice side of Harley showing, that she's not, fully all evil. She does have a compassionate side. And I just like how they started with Harley, where she is truly trying to turn a new leaf and do good in society. She has a job as a waitress at this DC restaurant, which is pretty funny, I have to say, seeing all these Silver Age visuals of classic DC characters. And even what she and Nightwing were talking in one sequence where he asked her, why are you just doing that type of work? And she's like, I tried to, become, return as a psychiatrist and be a doctor, but I keep getting refused, so I have no choice but to do what I do waiting on tables. So I just like how they handled Harley trying to truly be good, but then, still struggling to do that. And the sequence where she was comforting the scientist who was dying was a nice moment of showing that, yeah, she is, trying to truly be a good person. So that was good. But then the ending sequence happened. It didn't end on a good note for me, where they find Poison Ivy and the Floronic Man in the woods, because their whole plan is to pretty much turn everyone into, plant people like them, so they would stop destroying Earth because they would need it to survive, type of thing, to be more like them. And they were going to set off this bomb. And they have this fight, and I thought it was going to end in a climactic way where Swamp Thing shows up, because they tease Swamp Thing in the beginning of it and how, they're trying to duplicate that accident, what happened with Swamp Thing. So Swamp Thing does show up at the end when it looks like they can't beat the Floronic Man. It was a pretty cool sequence where he just comes out of the swamp, is very huge, and telling him what you're doing against the green is wrong and all that. But then he goes, or something to that effect, like he was going to dispense justice on the Floronic Man, but then he just goes, but who am I to judge or to do anything about it? Something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing here, I can't remember his right dialogue, but he just simply goes back down to the swamp and does nothing. It was just played for a humorous sequence where he was all powerful, but he's not going to do anything about it. And then how the movie ends, the very last shot is Batman and Nightwing trying to figure out how they're going to stop him. And Harley's trying to get their attention. It's like, hey, why don't we try? But they keep interrupting her. And she just goes, hey, why don't we try lighting him on fire? And they just look at each other like, oh, yeah. And she lights a match. And the last shot of the movie is her lighting the match. And then Batman and Nightwing just go up and kiss her on the cheek. Like, oh, that's our Harley type thing. And it was just like so out of place. I'm like, really? That's how you're ending it? And so unfortunately, it's not going to go down as one of my favorite animated movies. The humor was way too over the top for me in certain aspects.
Forced, would you say?
Yeah, that's a good word to use it too. I just wish, if it wanted to be a full-blown comedy type movie, go for it. But they were trying to, I think, have the best of both worlds, where they're trying to do comedy, but yet having it be like Batman the Animated Series, and they just didn't mesh well together. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm more on the disappointed side of things, but I don't necessarily hate it and think it's the worst thing since Batman and Robin. Like, you got to be pretty bad to reach that level, but it was on the disappointing side for me because I was really excited about it being, a cool continuation of Batman the Animated Series. So I'd probably give it 2.5 out of 5. I will say, though, it was kind of cool that on Twitter I gave my reaction to it, kind of saying the same thing, where I thought the humor was a little too overboard and it didn't work for me. I actually got a response from the director, Sam Liu. He just responded saying, that's a valid criticism and I don't mind it. And I thought that was cool that he responded, because I'm sure he's seen a lot of flack for this movie. Like I said, there's some people going to the extreme saying it's the worst thing ever and a disgrace, and it's not really that. So yeah. I guess maybe he appreciated a fair criticism for it, but not necessarily bashing it and the work that they did, because these guys have been doing these movies for 10 years now. They did a great job for the most part. So of course, you're going to have some that's not going to work for everybody. And doing that many movies, I can understand them wanting to try to do something different like this, having it more towards the comedy aspect. So I just wish they would have went all in on that front and not try to mix it in with the Batman the Animated Series style of seriousness. So it was just a nice exchange between, me as a fan and someone who created that, and, just giving a different opinion, but still being respectable to each other. I thought that was nice. So, the Batman and Harley, like I said, 2.5, not the greatest and not the worst ever. But I will say the next animated movie, Batman Gotham by Gaslight, looks so good. It was the preview on the Blu-ray. I saw the one that, like I said in the last episode, that came online, but seeing on the Blu-ray and on my TV, it just looks really, really good. So I can't wait for that one.
All right, so it's a rent for me, right?
Yeah, I can't recommend a purchase for it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I usually wait for your reviews to watch these movies. So yeah, maybe I'll rent it.
Yes, like I said, there'll probably be certain moments that you'll like, but then again, moments where you might be scratching your head a little bit.
All right. Well, I guess now we can move on to our news.
Mm-hmm.
And Tim, you know what our first thing is?
Oh, I do. Can you believe it?
Batman the Animated Series turned 25 years old.
Wow. Can you believe it's that old? Geez. A quarter of a century now.
No, I can't, Tim, because it's like yesterday that I first saw it.
I know. I still remember the day. And I know we gave... Man, see, this is another hard thing to believe. It's 5 years since we did our 20th anniversary review, or not review, but 20th anniversary episode, where that was our featured topic.
Yeah.
And that's now 5 years ago. This time is flying by so fast. So, yeah, not going to go in too much on it. Like I said, if you want to hear us celebrate Batman the Animated Series, you can listen to episode 12. That's how far back it was.
Wow, of episode our podcast. 12.
Yep.
Wow.
That's where we go in and talk about, what it was like seeing it for the first time, or favorite episodes and all that. So that was a fun one, I got to say. But I couldn't let its 25th anniversary go by without acknowledging it and, again, singing the praises that it deserves over and over. So, yeah, Batman the Animated Series, 25 years later, still the greatest interpretation of Batman, in my opinion. And I did my rewatch of this original series last year, and it's never going to not hold up. It holds up extremely well all these years later, and I think it always will be. It's standing the test of time. And again, coming up with my favorite episodes, like top 5 episodes, is I can do. Top 10, really have to think about it. But there's some that people like. I think I saw a list yesterday where someone ranked all of the episodes. And I'm like, wow. I don't know if I could do that. It'd take me forever, or I go crazy thinking about it and I'd end up in Arkham Asylum. I'm just trying to rank every single episode. But yeah, I guess the one thing I will give an update on was my top 5 favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series. And I'd probably have to go back and listen to that 20th anniversary episode we did back on episode number 12 to see if they're the same. But right now, my top 5 episodes would be number 1, Robin's Reckoning, Part 1. And number 2 is going to be Appointment in Crime Alley. Number 3, Over the Edge. Number 4, Mad Love. And number 5, Feet of Clay. So I think I will have to revisit that episode, see if those are the ones that stayed in my top 5 or if I switched them around a little bit. But right now, as I think about it, those would be my top 5.
Yeah, and I can't remember where I saw it too, and I can't remember really what it said, but like the article was making the case that they I guess they found like one of the original documents, or the pitch documents, and it was something about Bruce Wayne and how they got Bruce Wayne right first before they got the Batman character right. I can't remember what it said though, but I, of course, agree with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a hard balance to do when you're doing Batman stories, making Batman and Bruce both work so well. And I mean, they knocked it out of the park for both of them. And Kevin Conroy, of course, I always like how he tells the story of him wanting to make Bruce's voice so different than Batman's, where, you know, you wouldn't think twice that this guy was actually Batman just by the way he talked. I mean, it's on perfect display in the very first episode in On Leather Wings, where the doctor calls him while he's in the Batcave and he's talking to Alfred in his Batman voice, and then he just flicks up the switch to pick up the phone. He's like, "Hey, what's up, Doc?" Like the distinct differences in his voice is just so great. I think he even said recently, too, in an article or on Twitter, about how he had to tone it down, even where he actually made it a little too different, and I guess maybe too over the top in trying to not sound like Batman. So he even had to tone it down, but whatever he did, he found the perfect balance. And so, yeah, Bruce Wayne and Batman are just pitch perfect, in my opinion, of the interpretation of that character, which is why it always remains my favorite.
Really, Tim, it's your favorite?
I don't know if I said that before, but yeah.
Well, hopefully this new show, this Titans show, is going to be your favorite because they casted a Nightwing. It's going to be Brenton Thwaites. Is that how you pronounce that, Tim?
I'll go with that because okay. I'm not sure I'll do any better than pronouncing his last name, but it sounds good to me.
Yeah, because I haven't really seen him in anything.
Me neither.
Do you know what he's been in?
The only one I really know is he was in the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie that came out this past summer. So that's the only thing I know of him, but I haven't seen him in anything. So I'm just going to go off by the pictures I see of him. And to me, he looks like he can pull off a Dick Grayson / Nightwing. And I think he's like about 28, 29. So they're not going for, a too young version of Nightwing, which I like. I mean, young enough, of course, but not going to be, a teenager or early 20s type thing. So I'm kind of hoping that the series establishes that, he has history, being Robin for a while. And now I'm curious to see if the series will be where he first becomes Nightwing or if he's been Nightwing for a while. So that should be interesting. I'm kind of hoping it's where he's been Nightwing for a little bit and, he's just coming together with the Titans and for the first time. So, but I kind of have a feeling it's going to be where, new group of characters or the heroes of the Titans meeting for the first time. Maybe this will prompt them to become Nightwing. So, I mean, either way is going to be cool, but I kind of like it where they have that longer history in the back of their pocket type thing that they can draw on for maybe future stories and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. The casting is coming along for this new Titan series, and we got Starfire cast, we got Raven cast, and a few days or a week after Nightwing got cast, we found out Hawk and Dove are going to be in the show, and they've been cast. So, yeah, hopefully we'll be getting some, once they start filming, some pictures of the cast and costume, because that would be our first real tell to see how the series is looking. But I'm excited for it, and I know the DC streaming service comes out in 2018. I'm just not sure if Titans is going to be on there. If anything, it'll probably be late 2018 if Titans is going to be on there. But I'm excited for it. So
yeah, this is going to be on that new streaming thing, right? The app or whatever.
Mm. Yeah, because I kind of have a feeling it's probably going to launch with Young Justice Season 3, that new app. And then hopefully there'll be more content as far as maybe older shows that you can stream on there. That would be cool. And then maybe Titans later on in the year.
Yeah. Well, our next piece of news is that Gavin O'Connor, again, haven't seen his movies. Not really. Is going to be writing and directing Suicide Squad 2. And yeah, this for me, it's like, why not? I mean, it's at this point with all of the rumors and all of the speculation about the DC movie universe, why not? I mean, you see all the articles, you read all the articles, and I think this is the perfect plug for this new Twitter account that I've been following. It's called, or the Twitter handle is @FilmClickbait.
Okay.
And I have to say, the people that run this account, I just thoroughly enjoy it because they take all of these like leading sort of clickbaity articles. Like I'm just looking at this. Is the Han Solo movie being remade from scratch? And this is from Screen Rant. Pretty much their whole tweet is 4 pages of recap and speculation, doesn't answer the question. This next one is...
But I could answer that question with one word. No, it's not being remade from scratch.
This next one is from Comic Book Movie. Will the Guardians of the Galaxy appear in Thor Ragnarok? We may finally have an answer. The tweet is, they don't know. So yeah, like I thoroughly enjoy this Twitter account. Or here's another one. James Gunn teases, this is from Slash Film. James Gunn teases the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 release date. And all they put is in a little under 3 years. And then
I couldn't think of that for myself. Good thing they posted that.
And this finally, I guess this is from Screen Rant. How Hulk traveled to Ragnarok's alien planet explained. And their tweet is through a wormhole.
I would have fun if they just said go see the movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's all these leading like questions and stuff. Why Colin Trevorrow left Star Wars. He had an egotistical point of view, and he is always asserting that a source told Vulture is pretty much that whole article. But you don't have to read everything, so it's great. It's like it's kind of like you see that sort of leading title, and it's like I don't know if I want to read that. I don't know if I want to read an entire article right now. You can just rely on these guys to just tell you what this sort of article is about.
The gist of it.
yeah. It's like Cliff Notes. Like Ryan Johnson explains who the Last Jedi is. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. It's Luke.
Yeah. Which he's already said before. So again, one of those news stories that's making the rounds again, even though we already knew the answer of it.
Or even better, from the Hollywood Reporter again, should Star Wars Episode 9 be delayed? And then the tweet is, with no new info on the progress of the film, the conclusion reached is fans would be okay with it, which doesn't answer the question.
Oh boy. Yeah, that does sound like a good source, just getting to the point. I'll probably have to give them a follow now.
Yeah. Or even this piece of news is, the Suicide Squad sequel has found its director. Instead of clicking on the Variety link, it's Gavin O'Connor. Yeah. So, I'm happy with it. I'm great with it because I don't... Or here's another one, Tim. One director said he wants to direct the final Star Wars movie, but will Lucasfilm let him? And do you know who it is?
No, who was it?
George Lucas.
Oh,
in 1977, and they don't know.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's why I like this Twitter account. I totally recommend everybody following. this Twitter account because you don't have to read the entire article. All you need is it's George Lucas, but he said that back in 1977, and they don't really know. Okay.
Well, that's just pushing it a little too much. Or what was that site that said that about Lucas?
Comicbook.com.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Or Lucasfilm is reportedly looking at two very similar faces to helm Star Wars 9. No, not George Lucas. Do you know who those two people are?
Gee, who were the last few directors who have directed a Star Wars movie? Could it be Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams?
Yeah, that's pretty much the tweet. So you don't have to read the entire article from Total Film. What does The Last Jedi mean? Star Wars director Rian Johnson reveals the truth. It refers to Luke Skywalker. So yeah, I love this. I love this Twitter account.
Yeah, I would have to agree, even though I don't follow him. Just from what you're saying, yeah, that sounds like a good one.
Yeah,
just to get to the point.
It's at film clickbait, so I'd highly recommend it. But anyway, Gavin O'Connor. Tim.
Yeah, again, I'm like you. I haven't seen any of his movies. I know the last one was The Accountant with Ben Affleck, which I've heard was pretty good. I know it didn't blow everyone away, but I've heard good things about it from a few people. It's a good, solid action flick. So, yeah, I'll be curious and excited to see what he does with Suicide Squad. I guess we should be thankful it wasn't Mel Gibson, like those rumors from a few months ago.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see his take on the superhero movies, so or comic book movies. So I'm kind of glad we avoided that. But yeah, he seems like someone who should be capable with it. I mean, like I said, I haven't seen his movies, but I know just from The Accountant. I mean, I think the actors they with on that looked pretty cool. And like I said, I've heard people who said it who really enjoyed it. So we'll see if he can do a Suicide Squad, and hopefully where it could be received critically at least better than the first one did.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to wait for the Tim review on it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'm always here for you for that, Dane. Yes.
Yeah.
You have nothing to worry where you'll get my true, honest opinion on it.
Well, here's another one. Will fans get behind Leonardo DiCaprio in the Joker role?
Speaking of which, yeah, I don't think we talked about that on our last one because that came out a few days after the news of the Joker origin film. And, I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world if Leonardo DiCaprio was the Joker. And again, I've said this for so many times, ever since Heath Ledger, where I'm never going to, question a casting choice, especially for the Joker, unless, it's someone who's not an actor, so to speak. I told a story before how I was not too happy about the Heath Ledger casting when that got announced, and then was totally, ate crow when after I saw the movie and how great it was. So when you have good talent behind it, even though if you might not see it when you think of the name, you just have to wait till you see the performance. So I know Leonardo DiCaprio is a good actor, and he could probably do something really cool with the Joker if they go that route. But from what I've read too on that, doesn't seem like a very possible choice. I think just what Warner Brothers would want to happen. If that happens, we'll see. But with Martin Scorsese attached, you never know, knowing how they like to work together so much. But if it does happen, I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world. It could be something cool. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, you're really going to recast the Joker role at this point?
I know. Well, that's the thing. Like we talked about last episode, it's not a matter of if, but when and who that they're going to get to play this version of the Joker. Because, as crazy as it sounds, and maybe might not sound like the best idea, it's happening regardless of what we think. So we just kind of have to roll with it and see how it turns out.
I don't know. And isn't Leonardo DiCaprio older now? I mean, isn't he like almost 40?
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, this is the Joker origin film.
Cast him older?
Yeah, is the Joker, is this going to be an older version of the Joker?
Yeah.
So to speak? But, I mean, he may be that old, but I think he could probably still pull it off where he doesn't look, he could still maybe pull it off a younger, like maybe 30 is somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So, But again, yeah, if they're going to do something that's fully his origin, you would think they'd cast someone kind of young.
Yeah. Here's another one. Justice League may have a secret seventh hero if this leak is accurate. Here's who it might be. Do you know who it is, Tim?
Green Lantern?
They don't know, but list all of the obvious candidates.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. It might be.
Bravo.
Anyway, that's all of our news for this episode. Now we can get into Jordan's email.
Yep. As always, Jordan sends us an email, beginning with, "Hey, Tim and Dane and Alex. First off, I just want to mention how much I enjoyed the last episode's intro. I know that the Killing Joke movie catches a lot of flack, but I loved it, and hearing Mark Hamill deliver those iconic lines from the comic was incredible." Yeah, so since Joker news dominated our last episode, I put the bit of dialogue from the Killing Joke movie where Joker talks about having a past. He wants it to be multiple choice. And I agree with Jordan that sequence was great. Mark Hamill delivered those lines perfectly. And yeah, it gets a lot of flack. And I do agree with all the flack it gets for that Batgirl prologue. But once the Killing Joke story actually kicks in, that's where, I really did enjoy the adaptation of it. So, I agree.
I kind of was excited for a prologue to the Killing Joke, but, not that.
Yeah, I know. They could have done a cool prologue, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to hear more on our thoughts on the Killing Joke, you can look back at... I don't have the episode that number remembered, but it was, obviously a year ago, so sometime around the summer of 2016, you can hear our thoughts on the Killing Joke animated movie. But Jordan continues saying, "The Joker origin film has me very excited. I think I'd prefer it if we were going to be part of the DCEU and star Jared Leto, who I loved in Suicide Squad, but I also see the appeal of this new banner of DC films in general. I think the new banner can really allow them some interesting creative freedom to tell Elseworld-type stories, just like in the comics. It reminds me a lot of what the DCU AOM line has done. Since 2014, they had their New 52-inspired shared universe, but then they also do out-of-continuity films like The Killing Joke, Batman and Harley Quinn, and the upcoming Batman Gotham by Gaslight. I think we could see a similar situation on the live-action side of things. As for the movie itself, the names attached are very exciting to me. I'm a big fan of Todd Phillips' Hangover trilogy. At first, I was a little skeptical of a comedy director for this type of movie, but then once I thought about it more, I realized it might be a match made in heaven. The Joker is the clown. Not only that, but if they pull from his Killing Joke origin, he was a comedian prior to becoming the Joker. Therefore, a comedy director might be a perfect fit. As for Phillips' co-screenwriter, his name gives me a lot of confidence too. Scott Silver wrote 8 Mile, The Fighter, and The Finest Hours, all of which I'm a fan of, especially The Fighter. I think he could help Phillips with more of the dramatic aspects of the film that perhaps Phillips isn't as experienced with. Then there's Martin Scorsese, who it looks like is just going to produce the movie. I don't think that name needs any explanation for why it excites me. It's great to have him attached as well. The way the film has described sounds pretty cool to me. Basically, everything about this movie makes it sound like a mix of my 2 favorite Joker comics, The Killing Joke and Joker. While I think the Joker can be done great without a set origin, see The Dark Knight, I think it can be done equally well with an origin. While The Killing Joke allows you to interpret for yourself whether the origin told in it is true or not, I love that origin, so I chose to think that it is. Perhaps this movie will pull from that. As for why it reminded me of Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo's Joker comic, that is because that is a comic that focuses almost exclusively on the Joker, with Batman barely being in it. I don't know if they're planning to use Batman in this film, or even in a small role, but if they're not, then I think that comic sets the template for how to tell a Joker story with minimal involvement from the Cape Crusader. Yeah, that's something I didn't think about. I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave.
I was just gonna say, I don't know. I don't think the Joker origin story is gonna be is a good idea. I mean, no matter what I read, Martin Scorsese's part of it. Leonardo DiCaprio might play the Joker. I think we need another Trinity film. Mm-hmm. I think we just need one more before we start doing all of this. Like I said in the previous podcast. Yeah,
I know what you mean there too. But at the same time, I what Jordan said about, being a little bit inspired by the Joker comic by Brian Azzarello, that's something I didn't think about when the whole news came out. Not necessarily the story it's being told, but how it handled, a story just about the Joker, and it did it really well. So if it can, capture the essence of, telling a story like that, with a different story like that, but with the Joker, and having Batman's role being it so small, because he just showed up at the end there, but it worked really well. So I am curious if they're even going to attempt to have Batman in there. It's kind of makes me think, they can't resist to use Batman at an end sequence or something like that. So it's going to be interesting, but that comic does show it can be done in a way that works. So I agree with on that one, Jordan. But he goes on to say, as for the Joker and Harley Quinn movie, that has me quite excited as well. Coming off the heels of the Joker origin film news and being slightly disappointed that it would be, or that it wouldn't be, a place where we'll be seeing more of Jared Leto's Joker, the idea that there would be another movie in the works in which we would see more of Jared Leto's Joker lifted my spirits. I had my fair share of issues with Suicide Squad, but the two biggest highlights for me were Leto's Joker and Margot Robbie's Harley. To now be getting a film focused specifically on the two of them appeals to me a lot. As with the Joker origin movie, the names behind the project make me excited as well. John Requia and Glenn Fissara are in talks to write, direct, and produce. They have worked with Robbie before, having written and directed Focus, as well as having directed Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Focus is one of my favorite films of all time, and Whiskey Tango Foxtrot was quite good as well. In terms of what I would see this, of what I would, let me start that again. In terms of what I could see this Joker and Harley Quinn movie being, I could see it taking from that Joker comic somewhat too. We don't know if Batman will appear in this film either, but if he doesn't, they could go to that Joker comic for reference for telling a Joker story without his arch nemesis, especially since the comic features Harley as well. Yeah, for the Joker and Harley movie, I really hope it's kind of a mad love type story. I would love to see that adapted. Even we got a little bit of it in Suicide Squad, but it's such a great story that if they did a more traditional adaptation of it for a movie, I think that would be great. But it's going to be interesting to see what direction they go with. And I just know, Jordan, you've seen a lot more movies than I have, because all the movies that these creative people have worked on before, I haven't seen any of them. But you definitely have it. It's good to know that they have some pretty good track record there. But he continues saying, so how about that Dick Grayson casting for Titans? I'm a fan of it. Brenton Thwaites is a bigger name than they cast for Raven or Starfire. I'm more familiar with him than I am with Tegan Croft or Anna Diop. Hope I said that last name right. I did see him in The Giver, and I thought he did a very good job in that. As I suspected, following Diop's casting, they did indeed go older for Dick as well, casting him around Diop's age. My guess is that they will explore Dick and Corey's relationship on the show quite a bit. I'd imagine that they will then go closer to Tegan Croft's age when casting Beast Boy. My only concern is how much of their money they just spent getting as big a name as Thwaites. All in all, it's just so good to finally get Dick Grayson back in live action after 20 years. I'm really excited to see Thwaites bring him to life. Yeah, that's a good point, because the last Dick Grayson we saw in live action was Chris O'Donnell, and we know that wasn't the very best portrayal. But I mean, just thinking about it, he's going to be the new actor Brenton Thwaites. He's going to be the third live action Dick Grayson, because all we had was Burt Ward and Chris O'Donnell, and given the long history of Robin, of being almost as old as Batman, you've only had those three. Well, I shouldn't say just three, because I don't remember the actor's name, but he was in the old 1940s serial, so I shouldn't forget about that one. But it's been a while since Dick Grayson has appeared in live action, and it's been much too long. He deserves to have a truly great live action performance, so hopefully Titans will deliver on that. But Jordan continues saying there was also some news about Gavin O'Connor being the writer of and in talks to direct Suicide Squad 2. I was a little bit disappointed that Kwame Colette Sarah isn't going to be doing it after all, but this sort of erased that disappointment. I love what O'Connor did with The Accountant, and I think he could potentially give us a more grounded Task Force X film than the first one. I'm writing this email a little later in the week than I usually do. Part of the reason for this is because I was at Dragon Con here in Atlanta over Labor Day weekend, which was a ton of fun. I met a bunch of great people, went to a lot of awesome DC-related panels, and got to see and take pictures with Michael Rosenbaum. Yeah, I did get to see those pictures, Jordan, and that was really cool. You got to, I think if I saw it right, you took 2 pictures with Michael Rosenbaum, which was cool. And the best one, I think, is where he's holding the Flash figure. So don't know if you gave that to him. If so, that was cool. But I'm curious if you had a chance to, I know those things move so fast, you don't have too much to chat with him about or say too much to him. But I'm curious if you did get to say anything to him. Did you ask him more about his time as Lex Luthor on Smallville or his portrayal of Flash on Justice League? So those are 2 great performances by him, and I think it would be hard to choose which one you would like to maybe mention to him with such a short amount of time. So let me know in the next email what you got to talk to him about. That would be cool. But he continues saying, the other reason I'm emailing a little later is because last week's was Annuals Week. So I wanted to wait until I read Batman 30 to write in so that I could share my thoughts on it. I was very glad to hear that you enjoyed Batman number 29 as much as I did, Tim. That was such a great issue. In my opinion, Batman number 30 continues the level of quality from Batman number 29, as well as the quality from the first Kite Man interlude, which it follows up. Spoilers. As I expected would happen after the way Batman 29 ended, Batman has indeed sided with the Riddler. The Riddler seemed like the lesser of 2 evils to me, and apparently Batman agreed. I feel like more than any other issue of the War of Jokes and Riddles so far, we really got to see the interactions between the different villains on each side of the conflict. Kite Man was sort of in the middle of it, and Tom King continues to do brilliant things with him. I just felt so bad for him throughout the entire issue. King tends to do this thing where you hear a conversation play out between 2 characters while on the page, what you're seeing is something else. And I think he is a master at that. In this issue, as the action is playing out, we are treated to a heartbreaking conversation between Kite Man and his son. It made me really sympathize with Kite Man. On an episode quite a while back, you guys were discussing who the most sympathetic Batman villains are. Mr. Freeze and Francis Gray from the animated series The Batman were my top choices. Kite Man might be number 3 for me now. King has made him one of my favorite Batman villains. Yeah, you'll hear my thoughts on it shortly, Jordan, but I will agree with you that King does a great job of, having a monologue and dialogue go on to over the panels that we see that are having completely different actions, and he makes them work really well. So I thought that was the best part of one of the early issues of the I Am Suicide storyline, which, I wasn't a big fan of, but I did like how he incorporated that aspect to it. He does a good job with that, so I do agree there. But before I get to my actual questions, I just wanted to see if you started season 2 of Teen Titans yet, Tim. If so, did you think How Long Is Forever is as amazing as I do? Well, Jordan, I did start season 2. I watched the first 2 episodes, and yes, How Long Is Forever was quite good. When I watched it, because the whole point of that episode is Starfire gets transported into the future. I believe it was 20 years into the future, and she meets older versions of the Titans, a cyborg and a balding, fatter Beast Boy who looked funny, Raven, then Dick as Nightwing, which was really cool to see. And when I saw it, I must have forgot about it, but when I saw Dick show up as Nightwing, I remembered it like, oh yeah, I forgot. I've seen images out there like years ago that Teen Titans did have a version of Nightwing, and this is where it was from. So it was really cool. I thought they did a great job with having Nightwing be in this episode for a little bit. That was probably my one nitpick, whereas it would have been cool if it was a 2-parter, or maybe just have more in Starfire and Nightwing working together, kind of doing more than just one sequence at the end, because it was just really cool to see this version of Dick Grayson as Nightwing. I thought they did a great job. Then the episode afterward was Every Dog Has Its Day, where Beast Boy gets mixed up for an alien dog and becomes the pet for this alien, which is one of those funny Teen Titans episodes that had a lot of moments that made you laugh. So season 2 is off to a good start. Like I said, I've only seen the ones that dealt with Terra, but I'm looking forward to seeing the season as a whole. And I'm going to be watching those episodes again anyway that I already saw. So it's off to a great start. But his questions are, which of the dark multiverse Batman are you most excited for? For me, it's the Batman who laughs. He is absolutely terrifying, and I think the idea of a Joker version of Batman is pretty fascinating. It's actually something the animated series The Batman sort of explored. Also, his Robins are pretty disturbing as well. James Tynion IV is going to be writing this one shot, so that has me very excited as well. Yeah, for me, first I should probably say I probably won't be getting all the one shots of these Dark Multiverse Batman. There's just kind of too many to go in with all the comics I already have, so I'm gonna have to pick and choose. But the ones I'm most excited for, one of them's on a visual level, the other is on the story level. On a story level, I can't wait to see the Dawnbreaker Batman, which is the Batman who gets the Green Lantern ring. And the description they had for it, where Bruce, after he loses his parents, he follows the gunman who kills him. And in this universe, the Green Lantern ring senses, the willpower that the young Bruce has, and he gets the Green Lantern ring. And instead of, Bruce, not killing, he actually is still angry at the loss of his parents in this moment. And he kills the gunman with his ring. And it becomes, I guess, this kind of evil version of a Green Lantern for this dark universe Batman. And that has me intrigued to see what this evil Green Lantern version of Batman will do. I will say his costume isn't the coolest as I'd expect the dark evil Green Lantern Batman to be. But like I said, the story has me very intrigued. But the one I think looks the coolest is Batman the Merciless, who is pretty much the Ares version of Batman. I believe that's how his connection is going to be, where maybe he takes the power of Ares, Wonder Woman's villain. And I always love the design of Ares' costume, and seeing that mixed with Batman, I think is really cool. So those are the two I'm most looking forward to. I don't know if you've been following the lead up to the Dark Multiverse Batman, Dane, with that picture that shows all of them. So
no, not really. But I was just thinking, if you combined Plastic Man with Batman, that's pretty much the most unstoppable superhero, right?
I think it has to be. I mean, forget the Green Lantern ring. Forget if Batman had Superman's powers. If he can be elastic and stretch everywhere,
yeah. Because I mean, Superman can fly and stuff, and but he can't stretch.
Yeah, so that's true. I mean, there's no denying it.
Batman has the ace card up his sleeve if he's combined with Plastic Man. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that, Tim, whenever that's going to happen.
I know. Well, maybe if it was at the point where there was so many tie-ins that you didn't know which one to get, there would be a Plastic Man version of Batman. But they're, I guess, kind of trying to keep it in check in this one where there's not so many tie-ins. So, no Plastic Batman, Dane. Sorry.
Oh, man.
I would love to see that, though. But Jordan's second question is, I guess this question is just for Tim, but what would you think about Huntress returning to Arrow? The TV show that Jessica Deco was starring on got canceled, and according to Mark Guggenheim, she has expressed an absolute willingness to come back, and they have plans for what they could do with her. Huntress was one of my favorite characters at the beginning of Arrow, and the way her last episode appearance ended made it seem like she could be redeemed. I would love to see her return in Season 6 and work with Team Arrow for a while. Yeah, for Huntress, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of indifferent about it. I thought the first story arc she'd appear in Season 1 was really good, with her and Oliver working together. Didn't really care for her appearance in Season 2, which was, they call it, what was the episode? Oh, yeah, Birds of Prey. And just to kind of give a little nod to, the team up of, the Birds of Prey in the comics with Huntress and Black Canary. But they were at odds with each other. It just didn't really work. And yeah, if she comes, the way I would probably be excited for it, if she came back and, especially with the new Black Canary they have now on Arrow, if they can really kind of form a Birds of Prey type group, that would be pretty cool. So we'll have to wait and see how they handle it. I would kind of hope it, like you said, she would join Team Arrow, or at least be, working with them instead of being, a villain of the week type episode where they have to take her down again. That would be kind of wasteful in my opinion. So if she does come back, hopefully she'll, be working with them instead of fighting them this time.
I wonder if she's going to have her motorcycle.
I think she has to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if she did in the last one where she was in. I want to say yes.
Because when was it? Season 2? She was last on the show?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think she just... I know she killed... she killed the person who killed her father, I believe. It's been a while since I've seen that episode, but she did, I think, get revenge on what she wanted to do, and kind of left on bad terms with everybody. But so,
oh yeah, that's right. That was kind of in that house thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like Jordan said, there should be hopefully an opportunity where she gets to redeem herself and be part of the teams, and I hope that is the way they go. So, don't have her be kind of this anti-hero type thing where she's gonna be against them, because they already kind of have someone like that last season named Vigilante, who they never even said who he was, and we were expecting her to come back in season 6 and hopefully get that answer. So you don't want to have two of those type of characters out there. Or maybe she will be Vigilante. Maybe she'll reveal herself that she was Vigilante the whole time, but I doubt it.
Is Black Canary still on the show?
Which one?
There's more than one?
Yeah, they brought in, because Laurel Lance died in season 4.
Oh, she did?
And
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they brought her Earth 2 version into the main Earth, who is Black Siren. She's a bad guy, though.
Black Siren.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did get a new Black Canary. And here's the frustrating thing with Arrow, is regarding Black Canary. I think they really messed it up. This new Black Canary that they got now is what they should have done for the very get-go. It's more comic accurate, where she wasn't Oliver's girlfriend back in high school and all that, or in college. She's just a character who shows up, makes herself known to Oliver. They work together, then they eventually will probably fall in love, like the traditional Green Arrow Black Canary stories.
Yeah.
So this is what happened in the show. Just I think it was a Central City police officer. It ties into the Flash a little bit, where she became a metahuman during the accident that transformed Barry into the Flash. When that went off, I'm blanking on the name of that right now. I don't know why they say it so much in the Flash, but the reactor that went off that caused everyone to become metahuman, she got her screaming powers from that, and she works her way into teaming up with Team Arrow to. Last season she first showed up, so she teamed up with Team Arrow, and then because once Laurel died, they were kind of looking for a replacement for her to take on the mantle of Black Canary. So they met up with her, and eventually she was kind of reluctant at first, but by the end of the season, and in season 6, I think she will be officially called the Black Canary. But she was always kind of leaning towards becoming that throughout season 5. And yeah, she's a good Black Canary. It's just a shame it took 2 other Black Canaries to get to the more traditional version. So
they had the original Laurel Lance.
I don't remember her sister was the first Black Canary in season 2. Oh, Sarah, which in my opinion is still the best Black Canary, even though it was a new character. But
so they had the original one. Then they had Laurel. Mm-hmm. Then they brought in one from the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the new one. So they had 4.
So you're right. So technically, maybe it's kind of the 4th one if you want to look at it that way.
So they had 4 Black Canaries.
Yeah.
and where's Sarah? I remember she was a big thing in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
2? Yeah. What happened to her?
She's on the DC Legends of Tomorrow TV shows, traveling through time.
She's a time traveler?
Yep.
Okay. And what happened to Felicity?
Yeah, she's still there.
Yeah, she's still helping Oliver out.
Unfortunately, the season 5 was good, where they didn't do too much on the Felicity Oliver relationship. But then at the season finale, they kind of hinted that it might be coming back. Like, you got to be kidding me. The thing that dragged the show down so much, and when it wasn't there, it made the show so much better, and then you're going to go back to it. So
it's like Smallville. It's like Smallville with Lana, right? Because we know Clark always ends up with Lois Lane, right?
Yeah.
And yet you're going to put all that Lana stuff in there. I mean, I know they're high school sweethearts or whatever, but we already know he ends up with Lois. So
it's the same thing with Oliver.
Yeah, Oliver and Felicity.
No, it should be Oliver and Black Canary.
Right. But I was saying it's the same thing with Oliver and Felicity. It's like, we know who it is. Legit, just forget about this Felicity thing.
You had the little fling. It was an awful season, so let's leave it for that. Leave it there.
And what happened to the woman from the island?
Which one? The one that Slade was in love with too. Her and Oliver.
Yeah. Her and Oliver were in love with her.
Yeah, she just died. She died on the island.
Oh, in
that episode.
They haven't brought her back.
Well, her twin sister came back in season 3.
Oh my god! Oh my god! She has a twin sister that she never.
I
brought
forgot
up
about
once.
that, but I remember she was in the season 3 flashbacks. Yeah,
She has a twin sister that she hasn't brought up once, and it's not mentioned that Oliver doesn't know about, even though he spent like 5 years on that island.
well, she was only there for like about a year or so. Maybe not even that on the island.
Yeah, but
was,
there's only so much you can do on an island. Before
well, that's why he wasn't on the island for some of those years.
Yeah, I forgot. He wasn't on the island. Apparently, he was doing some work for who was it? Was it Amanda Waller?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then this last season, he was in Russia.
Yeah. So he went all over the world.
It was a good season for the flashbacks. So it was good.
So he went all over the world, and they dropped him off back on the island.
Yeah, he wanted to go back there.
Oh. Okay.
And then, yeah, the final season finale, it did a good job of linking up because the flashbacks are over now. They told the 5 years that he was been missing, and it led up to in a nice way to the premiere episode of the first season of how he got off. So just more happened than they led on in the very first episode.
So, watch. They're gonna get rid of all of the Black Canaries, and then they're gonna be like, Laura Lance had a twin sister. This is Laura Lance.
Oh, that seems like a season 12 type thing where they're all out of ideas. That they do that.
And is Talia still on the show?
Yeah, she was.
I thought they did a really good Talia.
They did, yeah. She showed up this season, and she was the one who really, gave Oliver his final training to be the Green Arrow. Like in his actual, she gave him the suit that he wore in season 1. So that was really good.
Does Talia have a twin sister that nobody knows about?
Well, yeah, she did have a sister. Her sister showed up before she did. Remember, her sister Nisa Al Ghul showed up in season 2.
Oh, right, yeah.
And Talia just showed up this past season in season 5.
Yeah, but she probably has a twin sister too. If
another one.
Yeah, if she doesn't make it through. Yeah. Oh well.
But yeah, I know we're kind of joking about it now, but I really, really like season 5 of Arrow, and I'm excited for season 6. I'm just hoping it keeps on the upward trajectory despite Felicity and Oliver relationship stuff being hinted again. Yeah,
it's just out of context. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
it's like, they had 4 Black Canaries technically, and then that woman on the island magically had some twin sister that nobody heard about.
Yeah. Yeah, so all the shows should be coming back next month. I mean, I'm hoping Flash has a bounce back season. Season 3, while not horrible, was a little step down from season 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Legends of Tomorrow, season 2 was really, really good. I thought that might have been the best DC show out of all of them last year. It was just a lot of fun, so hopefully they can continue that.
Is Superman still on that show? Brandon Routh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's still the Atom.
Because I remember he was a love interest for somebody on Arrow.
For Felicity in season 3.
Oh, for Felicity, yeah.
Yeah, he's serving a much better purpose on Legends of Tomorrow than he did on Arrow.
Yeah.
But he's great, though. He's one of the best characters on the show. He's so funny.
Does he still play Adam?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they are time travelers.
Yep. They're there to fix any time anomalies that they detect to make sure nothing upsets the time stream. But yet, in the meantime, they cause some trouble themselves.
Yeah. Have they done a big crossover with Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow and Flash?
Yeah.
Supergirl.
This past season they did. It was a 4-part, or technically a 3-part crossover, which is really cool. But there's a Legends of Tomorrow episode you should probably check out where they go back to late 60s, early 70s, where they encounter a college George Lucas. And It was actually a really good episode. Yeah.
Why?
It was funny they
why?
do something. They interfere with something with Lucas that causes him not to make Star Wars. And then Ray Palmer, the Atom, and Steele, Nathan, I think his name is Nate. Yeah, he was one of the new characters brought in, and Steele's an archaeologist, and Ray Palmer, he's like a scientist, like a physicist, someone who got inspired by Star Wars in his field, and the archaeologist Steele got inspired by Indiana Jones. And because Lucas never went on to make Star Wars, they start losing their knowledge because they are never inspired to go to school and do what they do because those movies never came out. So it was pretty funny. A clever way to work them in there.
Oh, I see. It was just kind of like a one-off episode kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're enjoying it, Tim, because like after, was it season 3 that they started doing the? No, season 3 was that mayor guy that was bad, right?
For what show you talking about?
Arrow.
No, that was season 2.
Season 2.
Yeah,
and then
but that's actually Arrow's best season though.
Season 3 was the first episode was when Felicity and Oliver go on that date, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's where season 3 is where Arrow kind of started to slip a little bit for me.
So 3 and 4 then.
Yeah, 4 is really, really not good.
Well, what happens in that one?
Just like I said, all the Felicity and Oliver stuff.
Oh.
I didn't really care for the villain with Damien Dark, and they went a lot of supernatural route stuff where I think Green Arrow works better when is dealing with more street level crime villains in those scenarios. So yeah, season 4 was not that good.
So was it the thing where it was like, oh, I love her, but I can't be with her kind of thing?
Of course, yeah.
And it stretched out for all 22 episodes or whatever.
Yeah, well, almost 2 seasons when you count season 3.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well, anyway.
Yeah. I'll be giving reports on the upcoming seasons throughout the course when it airs and when we record episodes. So I'll still continue to watch them because I'm still enjoying them.
Yeah, and also I want to hear your opinions about the new season of Gotham because I heard the last season was good too.
It was, and you brought up Gotham. Did you happen to see the latest trailer for it?
No, I did not because I'm not really interested in that show.
Well, this one kind of made me a little more skeptical. I was more excited for the season, but then
which villain
they're going
do they bring
for
in
it
now.
They're going for it already. Bruce in costume.
Really?
Not Batman, but as cheap of a makeshift Batman suit you can get. I was like, don't go there just yet. No. And his costume does not look good. I'm sorry.
Is it practical or is it like a full built, suit kind of thing?
Yeah, so it's a suit. I would like it if it was more practical where,
it's like a
just like with Year
and
One.
A hoodie,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Again, he's still too young to even doing this, and they're ready to give him a mask. I think pretty sure he has a cape too.
Yeah.
It's like everything except the bat ears and like the bat theme shaped of like his gauntlets and cape and all that. It looks too cheesy. I'm sorry, it does not look good.
So it's not a villain this time.
No, villains have me excited for this season. Scarecrow looks really, really cool. He looks perfect as Scarecrow. His mask and the way they're doing the fear toxin looks really good. So I'm just, the only thing is Bruce being Batman this soon and his makeshift pre-Batman suit not looking too good.
You see, I knew it. I knew they were going to do it. Before even Gotham came out, right when it was announced, I knew it. I knew they were going to put Bruce in some kind of pre-Batman suit.
Yeah. He's just way too young. It's way too young.
I mean, you can't be fighting crime. I mean, this is like way before. I don't know, Tim. I don't know.
Yeah, they did a good job of setting up, him beginning his training at this age, but he hasn't had enough training to already start suiting up. And I'm predicting they'll be calling him Batman by the season 4 finale. Just watch.
He's gonna have a full Batman costume and
they're already going this far. So Gotham should be interesting this season. Like I said, I'm excited for certain things about it and really skeptical about other stuff. So
so definitely tell me what you think about it.
Yeah, when the premiere comes, I'll give a review on it.
Yeah, because I really, really want to know how they're going to pull this off.
Yeah, me too.
And if it works.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's our email from Jordan. Thank you, Jordan, for your email as always. So are you going to be doing a podcast now?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Jordan did tweet out he's going to be starting a podcast. And you know what? Now that we brought it up, I know. I'm going to look it up right now because I want to give Jordan a shout out. So I'm going to look that up right now. I probably should have looked it up sooner.
It's probably something simple too, like that we would immediately remember.
Yeah, it is nothing really hard, but
yeah, it's not Mark Tiberius Lemke, Chicago Blackhawks fan.
Yeah. All right, so want to make sure we give Jordan his due. So
yeah, what is it?
Yeah, so Jordan's podcast is going to be called Multiverse Musings, a DC Comics podcast. So
Multiverse Musings.
Yeah, it looks like their first episode is going to premiere on September 23rd, and they're going to cover all DC films, TV, comics, pretty much everything with DC. So that's cool. You got another avenue to geek out with Jordan for a podcast. So we'll look forward to checking it out, and we'll help pass the word on. The word about it along the way when your first episode comes out. So that's cool.
No, we won't. That's our competition, Tim.
Oh yeah, it's going to eat into our streams of revenue that we get in.
Oh yeah,
from podcasting.
Our zeros and zeros of dollars. No, of course we'll tell people about it. So yeah, thank you, Jordan, for your email. We always enjoy reading them. Hopefully now, Tim, he'll keep on sending in those emails when he's doing his podcast.
Yeah, hopefully it won't get too big, Jordan, where you won't have time to email.
Yeah, you won't forget about the little guys over here. Yeah. But now we can get into comic book reviews. Like we said at the beginning of every single comic book review, this is going to contain spoilers. So if you haven't read your books yet, you might want to come back to this part later. Our rating scale for this episode is going to be Game of Thrones facts that Dane doesn't know anything about. And for this episode, we are going to be reviewing All-Star Batman number 13 and Batman number 30. So, Tim, All-Star Batman number 13?
Yeah, so we're still on the first Ally arc, which I've been thoroughly enjoying, and this issue is no exception. I really like this one a lot, too. I loved how Snyder is matching the monologues to what we're seeing on the pages. Kind of similar to what Jordan was talking about with Tom King and his stories. I thought Snyder did a good job with that too, because this one picks up right where the last issue left off, where Penguin, Black Mask, and Tommy Elliott, he went off with them and they were shooting the hotel that Batman and Alfred were in, and they had to jump off. And this issue starts with them falling off, and Alfred kind of giving the monologue about him and Bruce still doing this as Batman, and still wanting him not to do this and have Bruce to have a normal life. And he even thinks to himself, like, if something happens to me, like if I quit or retire, maybe Batman or Bruce will do the same thing. Like, he can't do this without me. Or if I die and I'm no longer part of this, Bruce will no longer be doing this. And he's kind of thinking to himself as they're falling, maybe this is the time. Maybe this is it for me, and this will be it for Bruce's Batman too. Maybe he can live a normal life. So it was a good parallel between what he was thinking, and he was saying to himself, like, am I dragging Batman down, or is he dragging me down as we're both on this crusade? And as he's saying that, we're seeing them fall farther and further down. But it's just cool how I love the drawings here where Batman is able to capture Alfred from falling. It seems impossible. It's going to be a struggle for them to both survive this, but Bruce, he's not going to let his father die. And that's another thing I like about this monologue. Alfred keeps referring to Bruce as his son. And I just love that. It's driving home that father-son relationship that they have. And Bruce, or Batman, his arms are up holding his cape so he can slow his fall down and have him glide, but he needs to hold on to Alfred too. And I love how he just uses his legs to grab Alfred's arm, kind of almost like a real bat would, and just hold on to him as they're falling. But it's a big struggle for him. And Batman even tells him, like, I got you. And Alfred's like, no, you got to let me go so you can survive. And Alfred just, tells him, let me go. And Alfred lets go of him, but Batman picks him up with his hand. He just goes, never. And, they have a rough landing, but they do make it, and they're able to survive. So I thought that was a pretty cool opening sequence, what's going through Alfred's head throughout all this, and, still wanting that part of Bruce to have a happy, normal life. And what if he was the one holding him back? So just some nice parallels there that I really like. And then we get more of the flashback sequence with Alfred on one of his missions with his mentor Briar, trying to become the hero / anti-hero nemesis, the Black Knight, as they use the word Black Knight here to describe him. And Alfred comes from a mission, and him and Briar the sequence is them showing more of their mentor relationship, like Alfred and Bruce's. And there was a moment though where after Alfred comes back from his mission, and Batman, the comic goes back and forth between the past and the present. Batman finds a motorcycle. He just takes it from two teenagers, which was pretty funny, to go find Penguin and Tommy Elliott. But the big flashback sequence here is when Alfred hears a noise in his room, goes out to check out what's going on, and he sees his mentor Briar there holding the helmet from probably the last nemesis. And he reveals to him that the last nemesis before Alfred was his own son, but he died. And he tells the story how, most soldiers, they always cry out for their parents when their time comes. He told the story of one of the recruits that he trained, asked if his parents will know all the good he did. Will they know about this? And he kind of tells them that, there was no way. He can't tell anyone about this. And then he goes on to say how his son, the last nemesis, how he died trying to protect his father, Briar. And that's, Briar was still upset about that. And he comes to the realization that for Alfred to be a better nemesis and to be the ultimate weapon, so to speak, he has to lose his, attachments or connections, and to have him not be remorseful or have any regrets if he was about to die, or, anything to compromise him in battle. So Briar tells him he's going to cut him off. Like, you have one more test and that's it. Like, I was your first ally, but, after that, I'm going to cut you off, and that way it'll be better for you. You have no one to look out for, no one to concern yourself with, no one to worry about. But he does say, he was proud of Alfred, and he just walks away. But then later on, as we see Batman still tracking down Penguin and Tommy Elliott and Black Mask, he locates their helicopter, but he finds they're already been, taken out. They're not dead, of course, but they're beaten up and slashed. And we see that Briar is right behind Batman. And, he gets slashed by the current nemesis. And he knows he's talking to Alfred. And he goes, call out to Alfred for me. And then he's able to talk to Alfred now in the presence. And Alfred is just pleading with Briar here, just leave Bruce alone. Like, whatever happened, it's between us. Like, he's not a part of this. But Briar tells him, well, he's part of it now. He wants to recruit Bruce to be, his ultimate weapon, the new nemesis that Alfred was going to be. And with that new... the engine, I forget the full name of it, but they refer to it as the engine, the thing that Tommy Elliott was trying to steal in the first parts of the story, and that now that the Penguin has. So the thing Bruce was after this whole time, he's going to use that to turn Bruce, into his ultimate machine, the ultimate nemesis. And he wants Alfred to keep away. He just tells him, you just stay out of this, Alfred. If you don't come and find us, I'll make sure, he doesn't suffer. He doesn't feel any pain. But if you come after us, I'll make sure he suffers a lot, and he'll wish he was dead, type of thing. So Alfred, has to make the hard choice here. Do we go and save his son, or does he leave him to be, be trained by Briar like he was and become this new nemesis? And then before we get the final sequence here, Alfred goes back to one more flashback where we see that he looks at this file that Briar has actually killed Alfred's real father. And this is the one thing that confused me a little bit. I might be remembering wrong, but there was that Court of Owls back end story where we got a little bit of Alfred's father with the Waynes, and I thought a Talon killed him. Maybe he just injured him real bad, or he wounded him, but he wasn't really dead. But I thought he did take him out, so might have to go back and check that out, what actually happened to his father. But in this story, it's looking like that Alfred's mentor Briar killed Alfred's real father. That whole thing of trying not to have any connections to like any loved ones. But the final page of this is Alfred goes back to the pirate base that Bruce and him infiltrated, I believe, in the second or first issue, one of the early ones, and he's going to recruit these pirates that are there, and just tells them, get your guns, mate, you're coming with me. So he's going to go after Bruce and try to rescue his son like he should. So a lot of good stuff in this issue. I love the flashbacks that we're getting with Alfred and Briar about their relationship, and that how it compares to Bruce and Alfred's in the present, and how Briar's and Alfred's past with Briar and his mentors coming back, to haunt him with Bruce, his son right now. So I just love all the family, father and son drama that we have here, even though none of them are related. But it's one of those things where family runs deeper than blood, and especially with Alfred and Bruce. So good stuff here. I'm going to give this one 4 out of 5 Game of Thrones facts that Dane knows nothing about, but Tim has to give him a history lesson on. And now for Batman number 30, The Ballad of Kite Man, Part 2. So I heard a lot of great things about this one as well, because I loved the first Kite Man issue with that came out a few months ago. But this one, while I enjoyed it, wasn't quite as good as that first Kite Man story. But there were some great moments here. I'll get into why it wasn't as good as that one in a second. But this one is mainly about Kite Man dealing with his failures as a villain and being referred to as a joke. It starts with him and Tweedledee and Tweedledum preparing a mission to take on, go to one of the Riddler's location. And they were talking about, hey, like, Kite Man, I face Batman. Riddler's not going to have anyone as tough as Batman, so this should be easy. But long and behold, Batman is there waiting for him. Like Jordan alluded to in his email, Batman decided to work with the Riddler in order to, connect a little bit to the last issue where they had the dinner party. I'll get to a little bit of that at the end because that's kind of my nitpicks about this issue. But the stuff with Kite Man was great, and he is becoming one of the more sympathetic villains that you try to root for. And this issue just shows him failure after failure. Like Jordan mentioned in his email, we get sequences him dealing with several villains, like I said, first with Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Then he has a confrontation with the ventriloquist after Batman took Scarface. Like he was venting at Kite Man. Then we see Kite Man and Man-Bat on a mission, but Man-Bat gets shot out of the sky by the Batwing. He gets captured by Two-Face, but Two-Face mentions now that Batman is working with the Riddler, they made a deal where they can't kill, so they just throw Kite Man in the swamp. And then we see him with Cluemaster, but they get endorsed with Fear Toxin. Mr. Freeze gets taken out by Batman and him, and then him and Mad Hatter go on a patrol, but Batman takes the Mad Hatter. And pretty soon it's just Kite Man and the Joker. He's all Joker has left. And there was a great moment where Joker's giving this big old speech, and you think that he's rousing up the crowd and his men, but it turns out Kite Man is the only one in this massive theater, and you just see him doing these slow claps like no one is there. But eventually he gets taken down by Batman too, and he gets he takes Batman and captures him, and it looks like he's in jail, but he's with the Riddler here, so I don't know if it looks like they're just in the Riddler's hideout. But as we see Kite Man have all these failures, it has that monologue where he's having a conversation with his son that's going over through the entire issue, where his son asks him, Mom says you're a joke. Is that true? And throughout all these events that we see in Kite Man's failure, he kind of said, he tries to work his way around it, like about how, he's not a joke, but then it comes to accept it, or it comes to the acceptance that, yeah, maybe I am a joke, he tells his son. But you know what? That's not the worst thing, because I never quit. Like, as much as I may fail, I get back up and I keep doing it. And sometimes, it can be a funny thing. If you're a joke, people will laugh at you. So you have that. So he kind of works his way from, asking his son why would his mother say that, but then kind of make him realize it's not the worst thing that there can be. And then probably the best part of the issue is where we see Kite Man just sitting captive, and we know what the Riddler did to his son. He killed him, and knowing to be captured by the Riddler now, that has to be awful. But then you kind of get this heartbreaking monologue from his son, asking him, hey, like, Dad, you know how you like to fly kites, but I can't really get them to fly? Like, do you want to go outside and fly kites anyway? And Kite Man's all like, yeah, really? Like, you want to go fly them with me? And his son's all, sure, I might never give it up. It might fall, but if it falls, then I'm a joke, kind of like you, and I can just laugh. It will be funny, right? And you just see Kite Man remembering that, and tears fall down his face, and he just slams his face on the table, just, thinking about his son. And then Riddler comes in with Batman behind him, talking about, like, we knew, like, you'd be the one to talk, so we took you in, like, you're a joke, driving home that point to him, saying, you're a coward, you'll always be a joke. And Kite Man has enough of it. He just says, he doesn't say I'm not a joke, but he's referring that by saying I'm Kite Man. And that's where the issue ends. So great stuff with Kite Man, and more like tragedy to his backstory when he thinks about his son. But my problem with this issue is, and why I didn't enjoy it as much as the last one with Kite Man, was the status of the relationship with Batman and Riddler. Because in the last issue at the dinner party, it was established that Bruce Wayne's trying to help out one of these gangs to help end it faster. And of course, he was really gauging them as Batman to join them. Like, Batman will join them to help end this war quicker and take out the other side's men, which he did with the Joker. But I just don't quite get the whole point of this war is for either Riddler or Joker to kill Batman. Why is Riddler, allowing Batman to work with him? I mean, it's probably going to end up being, I allowed you to work with me to take out the competition. Then when that's done, I'm going to kill you. But I wish we would have gotten, the scene where Batman does join Riddler and he does, they work out while they're going to work together. But that's one of my nitpicks of this whole story arc. We're not seeing, I think, important moments that need to be shown here. And I wish we would have gotten that, because Joker and Riddler from that last issue at the dinner party, they're just expecting help from Bruce Wayne, not Batman. But Batman is working with the Riddler. So I hope we get more clarification on that. And then the other thing I had was, this goes back to the first Kite Man story, where there was that great moment after Kite Man's son died. Batman was there to comfort him and saying, I'll make the Riddler pay for this. Like, don't you worry. I'll make him, I'll take care of him and bring him to justice. But then after knowing that and seeing Riddler, talk to Kite Man while he's captive, telling him how he killed his son, how he's a coward, and Batman standing right behind him, it just didn't feel right after Batman said all that he'd be bringing the Riddler to justice. And he's just standing there taunting Kite Man about what he did. I know Batman's kind of has to keep face and pretend like he's working with the Riddler, so I get that. But I kind of wish there was just, on Kite Man's end, kind of drawing back to that moment between him and Batman. Like, he should be calling Batman out here. Like, how could you be working with the Riddler after what you told me you do to him, after what he did to my son? Like, how can you call yourself a hero or whatnot, and you're not taking him in after he did to my son? So I just wish there was a little callback to that moment, because it did, seem a little strange to me that you got Batman and Riddler there and Kite Man, and no one's saying anything about what Batman told Kite Man he would bring the Riddler to justice. So that felt a little off to me. So other than that, still a solid issue with Kite Man. Again, he's probably been the highlight and breakout character of this whole story of the War of Jokes and Riddles. So I'm going to give this one 3.5 out of 5 Game of Thrones facts that Dane knows nothing about, that I have to give a history lesson on.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for this episode, right, Tom?
Yep.
All right.
We just had about everything in it.
Yeah, I know. Game of Thrones, we had some Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, and Flash Talk. And we got the comics,
a little,
so.
Yep, and a little Star Wars sprinkled in throughout.
Of course. So yeah, just go to the BatmanUniverse.net, on Facebook.com/BatmanUniverse. Twitter handle's @BatmanUniverse. The show's Twitter handle is @Bat-Fans Podcast. If you want to email the show, you can email the show at batfanswithoutpants@gmail.com. Tim's Twitter handle is @TimG311. And my Twitter handle is @DaneSaysBananas. So with that, as we say at the end of every single episode, Tim,
we love each and every one of you and all of our bad hearts.
Yes, we do. So with that, we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.